in the cosmos bright. Stars and ships take flight tonight. In the void where dreams do play, soul citizens lead the way. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Starry roads and endless skies. Soul citizens we rise. Charting courses never lost. Together the verses crossed. Squadrons call on the horizon. Battles fought, our hearts aren't frightened. In our ships we face the dawn. Soul citizens carry on. Oh, planets spin and light years fly. Boundless space where hopes reside. Brotherhood in every star. Soul citizens, here we are. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Starry roads in endless skies. Soul citizens we rise. Charting courses never lost. Together the verses crossed.
Hello, hello, greetings, and welcome to the Soul Citizens. I am Griffin Gaming RPG, and we are back. Today is Sunday, December the 14th, and we are happy to be with you today. We're happy that you're joining us as we get almost toward the end of the year. We're mid-December, and yeah, time is flying by, but I am joined today with my good friend and co-producer, the one and the only, SeriousFun. My friend, how the heck are you? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Greetings and salutations. How is everybody doing?
I guess they're doing all right. We got a few people out there. Who can we give some shout outs to? We've got, let's
We got Shitucky. We've got Rufus, EU. DJ Psychosis, New Soul in the house.
Okay.
The Prisoner over on YouTube. We've got Sue Devil over on YouTube.
Okay.
We got the Admiral in the house. Vest Moopy. And Fast Card's feeling better, so every day that Fast Card is on the mend is a day better for all of us.
Well, thank you all for being here so early and hanging out with us. It has been a busy day. How was your day, by the way, before we even get started? How was your day?
It was great. My blessed mother turned 91 today, so happy birthday.
Ooh, happy birthday, Mom. That's awesome. 91 years. Ooh, God, 91.
She got a dope scarf from me, and an even better card. So
Okay. 91. That's all right. That's amazing.
It doesn't compete with your mother, but that's
well, she's getting there. She ain't too far behind. She's not too far behind. They both further than I'm going to probably get, because they cut from a different cloth, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So
right.
Let's see what's going on with that. Oh, but it sounds like you all had a good day. I'm glad to hear that. And I hope you all are happy. Me, my day, it was good. It was busy. I laid out the show earlier today because I had a long weekend in Star Citizen. I laid out the show today, and then I had to go sing an oratorio this afternoon. So I sang it. That's why my voice is a bit on the scratchy side. Maybe why my energy is kind of funny too. But I went to sing in Handel's Messiah today, and that was from 2 o'clock till 5:30 or 4 or 5 o'clock, 3 hours. And so then I zoomed home, changed clothes, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm here. And so I'm wrapping my day up with the community. But it's been a busy weekend and a busy day for sure. But I'm doing okay. It's cold in Chicago, though. It was like freaking 5 degrees here today. It was cold. But other than that, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We are going to, as you all know, each week.
I mean, you can't tell us that you did Handel's Messiah and give us no sample. I mean, no
yes,
sample.
that's exactly what you're gonna get. No sample. I agree. That's what's gonna happen. That's not going to happen. We are going to move forward in light of Serious Fun's request and start off with Star Citizen this week. We've had, as always, there's always things going on within the Star Citizen community. And so we want to take the very first thing. In fact, I didn't hook this up properly. Of course, there would be one thing that I didn't do, which is.
Yeah, well, while you look for that, I'll just tell people this is, for those of you that have been here every year, we love coming back to this. This is like putting on a comfortable shirt. For those that are new this year, you're getting a taste of the seasonality experiences that we get in and out of the game being part of this community. But Luminalia has begun.
Yes, it has. It has. Yeah,
has
we are there, and as we go into this time, this is something that it's kind of funny. There's almost a little bit of trepidation with Luminalia. Let's see, who is that? Go Mob, the big G from ATL. Thank you. 5 years solid. Thank you so much, my friend. Good to see you. Hope the family is well. Hope all is well as you and your family are approaching the holiday. We love you as always. And dedicated Star Citizen guy out there. Good man, good man. Luminalia is always an interesting time of the year. I know, CIG had quite a while back began introducing like a holiday calendar within our community where we celebrate different type of holiday events that are somewhat based in lore and also kind of in some ways parallel things that happen in our real world in Luminalia, which I guess would go in relation to things like Advent, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever. This is their holiday time, and it's tied into the Banu. And so each year we celebrate this, and is it 12 days that we do it? Is it 12 days? I think it's 12 days, right? 12 days?
12 days.
12 days, CIG sends us some type of surprise gift. Sometimes the gifts have been amazing, and sometimes the gifts are like you're looking for the refund receipt so you can maybe send it back. So it's 13 this year. Fast Car says they're 13 this year. Okay. So,
13, that's right.
Yeah, and the theme for this is called Lighting of the Lamps. It says, Luminalia is here, and with it, plentiful gifts under the tree. Make sure you check back daily for a surprise gift. You may also spread some holiday cheer in the Luminalia 2955 greeting card contest and win some shiny prizes on the way. If you're not familiar with Luminalia, if you go and log into the RSI website under your account, if you go under the main page or right on the first page, it says Luminalia Light the Lamps. You click on it and you'll see 13 squares there, and each day one of those squares becomes available to us. So click on that square and you will get a free prize, or free gift that will automatically go into your RSI account. And it could be anything. It could be a poster. It could be it could be armor. It could be a gun. It could be a whole lot of different things that CIG has sent out. They've even sent out a handlebar once before. So there's a variety of things that CIG sends us. But we would suggest to you, yeah, I know, Fast Card, you read my mind. But definitely it's something to take place and take a look at. And also there's the greeting card competition. Serious, what about you? Are you anticipating anything nice in your stocking from Luminalia this year? Or are you one of those people who says there's too much junk in my inventory, forget about it?
Yeah, I will never be the latter, okay? Let me be clear.
Okay.
I appreciate, from a lore standpoint, this is really about the idea of, it's originally ostensibly a Banu tradition, and they lit lamps, and those lamps would stay lit for as long as the fuel was burning. And their argument was, while the fuel is burning, all Banu, wherever they are, whatever they've done, they are back in the family. We are all one Suli.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the Davian system, after the humans and the Banu had a peace accord, that the humans said, we like this, we want to do it too. And they started doing this festival with the Banu, right? And so it's cool that springs from lore. It's something that we can do. And while the 13 days of Luminalia are happening, we need to think about who we can forgive and who we can bring back into the tribe and who's part of our community, right? So I'm excited about Luminalia. I am mostly excited about all the stuff. I'll never give anything back, but I will say the CIG, they must love the C1 spirit, boy, because the C1 Spirit every year be getting some paints.
They hooked it up.
Spirit be getting some paints.
They hooked it up this year again. I know it's either
got some paints again.
Yeah, it's either the C1, the Freelancer. Some ones it seems like they always get paints for. I don't know. I think today was a weapon today, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, it was a SMG, I believe.
Oh, was it the electric SMG or something? I kind of glanced at it. I didn't get to see it yet.
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, so there's things coming, which is really interesting. There's some pictures I wanted to show. I still may try to pull those pictures down if I have time to show you while we're going through these. So I'm going to come back to Luminaria when we get done. But we're going to move forward. Next thing up, the Daymar Rally. Let's talk a little bit about it. You want to read it? Okay, thanks. And I'll pull that stuff up. Thanks.
Yep. Sign-ups for the Daymar Rally 2026 are now open. This is another community-driven experience, and the art and the strap line is: think you've got the grit to dominate the dunes? Sign up for the Daymar Rally before January 3rd and prove it. Mark your calendar for January 24th, which is race day, when competitors take on one of the most grueling endurance races in the verse. Right, and there are multiple categories. Right, so if you like to drive a certain vehicle, that vehicle may be in a different category than other vehicles, and you can compete with the same type of vehicle. Fastcard has put the link into the chat, and so if you have never, you may have been in this community for a long time and never really into a Daymar Rally, I highly recommend it to check it out. If you're a racer, particularly a rally racer, in other contexts and in other places and spaces, I highly recommend trying out this rally on Daymar. If you are not part of a group that can help provide some security for the event, you might want to consider that, because sometimes people try to disrupt a rally, right? And this is one of those annual experiences. And I also want to give a big shout out to Crucian and Atmo Esports for their coverage of the Daymar Rally. This is something that I have on, even when I'm doing something else, I have it on passively, then I come back to it actively throughout the rally day. And I'm really thankful that they have the coverage and the different camera angles and the leaderboards and all that stuff. And so we really appreciate Crucian and Atmo Esports doing that as well.
Absolutely. I remember let's go back about the thing, how this has grown over the years. I think when the race started, it was like a 300-kilometer race, and I think now they're up to 510 kilometers with multiple categories. I remember in 2018, I was in Austin, Texas at CitizenCon, and it was the first year that CIG began having community tables. I remember, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was, what's the name? Well, it's Rad's org. I can't. Rad, if you're here, I can't think of the name of your org
begins with an A, doesn't it?
Atlas, yeah, Atlas. No, I'll think of it in a minute. It'll pop up in my head. But his org was there. Test Squadron was there. That was the first year I met Sigelian. ADI, thank you. Atlas Defense Industries, thank you, Rad. That was the first year I met Sigelian, and he was decked out in his stuff and everything that year. And but the other group that was there that had a table was Daymar Rally. And I remember he was there by himself, and he had created these folders with these information and this glossy thing, and nobody knew who he was. Nobody heard of Daymar Rally, and he was hustling. He was trying to tell people, here, check this out, check this out, check this out. And now that race has become a part of Star Citizen lore. It's been part of our community. CIG itself actually supports them by providing servers for them to be able to pull off this race. It's been amazing to watch the growth of that over the years. One of the things I want to present to you about this, though, is you mentioned earlier about security. I don't know if that's been working out. There's been a blessing to that. And what has come out of it is that when they've had those interruptions where another group of people want to come in and bring in a different kind of fun, it highlighted, right, certain aspects of how this game should be played. And there were some people who might have been upset, and we understand there were people who obviously were disappointed and upset because they had put in weeks and weeks of training to have people come in and basically interrupt the race. But at the same time, it highlighted and it showed the community the importance of when communities do things, of making sure that as part of the community, maybe there are people you want to come out and have security. There are people that you can bring in, not just the people who are just for your event, but other people who can come on board to support you in that process. Now, the thing I want to throw at you is this. In light of 4.5, in light of engineering in particular, how do you see that impacting this race now?
Well, G Cubed also raised that in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
It impacts it on multiple levels, right? You have the driver has to think about the same way that engineering's intent is to extend the life of the vehicle. The driver is now going to have to think more actively about how to extend the viability and race level life of their vehicle. Mm. The support teams are going to have to think about what does it mean to support a vehicle where a component might go out, right?
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Do you think it'll be now more of a, like what we see in racing, where components will get swapped? Because before it was vehicles getting swapped out, right? But we'll be now seeing components get swapped out instead, and vehicles be maintained. What do you think?
I think there's a possibility for that, right? Mm-hmm. I also think that somebody thinking through what's the maximum tuning or setting or preset that you want, and when do you want it, right? There might be a preset you want at the start of the race that's different than the preset you want if you're in the top 5 and competing for a podium spot at the end of the race, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see that type of tuning and tweaking. And for me, G Cube says Daymar Rally 2026 now with engineering. For me, the debut of engineering is the end of the beginning and the beginning of the real feature, right? And so for us to see it this year, I think by the time we get to 1.0, this is going to be so deep and so in depth. But yes, we're going to see the beginning of that and how players use that. And that's going to be instructive for how this feature evolves going forward. But I think this is just going to get more and more in depth and complex. And I love that. I talked in one of my videos about 1.5 years, 2 years ago about growing up on Pyrus and EA's seminal Indianapolis 500, the simulation. And eventually playing that simulation in a way where I did a real 3-hour, 500-mile race on that computer. Like my mom's calling me to dinner and I'm like, not yet, right? Setting the caster and the camber and all the little tweaks to the engine and different things and pitting, timing, and all that stuff. I believe all of that is now coming to the Daymar Rally, and this is the beginning of that.
Okay. That'd be amazing. It really would be. I'm curious to see how this all works out. I mean, this is still in transition, and we'll just have to see. I know a lot of people who are into racing. I know our good friend Toge, he's into all the vehicles and stuff. And there are a lot of people who this ground vehicle aspect of the game, whether it's because of gameplay or whether it's things like the races, is really something that has been, CIG has gotten behind and supported. There's just a great racing community here. So something to look forward to. So don't forget, that'll be January. I think it's the 26th. I got to get the date. If you could look up the date for me. 24th. It's right there. Yeah, January 24th. You guys... I've done the same thing, Serious. I got lucky one year. I got invited to, a couple years I got invited to go on the VIP yachts. And what they do is somebody pilots a yacht and they bring a bunch of people on the yacht and you get to watch the race. And the coolest moment, there were a couple of cool moments, but the coolest moment I ever had was we were flying over Daymar and we went to the dark side of the moon. And when we got there, the pilot of our yacht, we were in the back, sitting in the area where the ceiling is glass. When we got to the dark part, he rotated the yacht upside down so that while we were sitting in the chairs, we could look up and we could see the headlights of the racing at the same time. It was the coolest, unexpected thing that we were able to watch the race that way, because it got dark out. But when he flipped it over, we were like, oh, this is so amazing. We were able to watch the race while it was going on at nighttime. So it was very, very cool. Very cool. So
that's cool.
Check out the Daymar Rally Gang. Definitely worth it and great to support within our community. Take advantage of helping those folks out. We've got the Bar Citizen World Tour coming up again. For those of you who may not know about the World Tour, this is something that CIG has been committed to over the last few years. Before, we just kind of had random Bar Citizens different times of the year that was sponsored by various folks in their local areas around the world. But this is what it reads. It says, another year, another chance to connect with this incredible community. The Bar Citizen World Tour has evolved into something truly special. And what began as a simple idea to reconnect after difficult times has grown into one of our favorite annual traditions. Year after year, we've been blown away by the warmth and enthusiasm you bring to these gatherings. From bustling city centers to quieter corners of the globe, the spirit of Star Citizen shines through in every handshake, every conversation, and every shared story. These in-person moments remind us why we do what we do, and they've become as meaningful to us as we hope they are to you. We're excited to confirm that the Bar Citizen World Tour will return in 2026. As always, we're counting on you to point us in the right direction. Tell us which cities and regions you'd love to see the tour. Your suggestion help us choose where to go next and make sure every event, big or small, brings citizens together in the best possible way. And remember, we don't need to go big. Some of our favorite Bar Citizens are kept simple. A pub, some passionate pilots, with plenty of good conversation. If you're not comfortable posting publicly, no problem. Feel free to reach out to us directly, reach out to them directly, or me at any member of the community. And those are the addresses there. And this is also in the newsletter, guys, so you guys can find that's in the Coup and the Synthwave to stamp. And we'll make sure every location gets a proper consideration. Here's to another year of adventures together. Drop your location ideas below, and we'll see you out there. I've attended several Bar Citizens. I know, Sirius, you attended as well. In fact, the image that you guys see on the screen is from last year. It's from Quantum Vegas. And all these people that were here also participated in the Bar Citizen the day before. And as I said earlier, Bar Citizen, for those of you who don't know what it is, Bar Citizen is when people from the community gather together and come together and have drinks and snacks and food and basically share their experiences about the game that we all have been supporting. And CIG now, whenever this comes up for the year, you can submit and ask if CIG will send community folk out and some developers to your event. And they do that throughout that whole year. They go to different locations, and some are small, some are large. One of the things I will tell you is that they usually don't go back to the same place they were the year before. They'll skip a year. So if they were in Detroit in 2025, Detroit, hate to tell you that, they probably won't come back to Detroit in 2026. It might be 2027, because they want to make sure that they go to different places. But this is done in Germany, the UK, the United States, Australia, everywhere. Sirius, any thoughts you have about Bar Citizen World Tour?
Yeah, I'm paying attention to not only this submission from CIG, but also the evolution of Bar Citizen International. Mm-hmm. Nick at Night, who was a partner with us in the execution of the Quantum event on the day, has partnered with others, Chrome Ninja and others, and it looks like they have evolved their own organization to be a little bit more complete and ready for these experiences. Mm-hmm. So it was exciting to see that. Because I think it's an investment in the future of Bar Citizen. Mm-hmm. And you talk about me going to Bar Citizens. I tend not to go to Bar Citizens that are not attached to a convention, right? So the Bar Citizen in LA the night before CitizenCon, the Bar Citizen in Vegas the night before our Quantum event. And part of that is because I'm not a big drinker. But what I'm being educated to by the Bar Citizen community is that it very often is more than that. It doesn't have to just be that. Right. And so if CIG comes back to my area or the area where my parents are, because I'm back and forth now, I'm going to make a concerted effort, outside of just the convention Bar Citizen space, to go to an exclusive Bar Citizen and connect with folks. So
Yeah.
I look forward to that opportunity.
Yeah. I would tell you there are, you're absolutely right. You know, in fact, I get upset if we go to a bar citizen where there's no food. So I don't want to just go drink beers and stuff. I want to be able to sit around, and even if it's just light snacks, you know, just to be able to hang out with people, it's just a great experience. And here's the other thing too: you start to hear stories and hear where people came from, how they got involved in the project, their feelings about the project. And this is whether CIG is there or not. The events are always really, really great events, and we've always encouraged people to, if you can go to a bar citizen, go to one. And so there will be a calendar that will go up. It usually goes up in like maybe February or March, and they list every place where CIG also plans on going. But we do want to encourage you to go to, I think it's Bar Citizen, is it IO or SC? I think it's Bar Citizen SC, to their website. They just, in fact, revamped their website completely. Yeah. So when you guys get a chance, go there, take a look at that. Hey, there's Chachi Sanchez. Look at that. Hey, Chachi, good to see you out there. First time in the chat. Yeah, definitely check it out for Bar Citizen. And if you're interested, by the way, Bar Citizen International will help you if you're interested. Maybe you've never had a Bar Citizen in your area, but you know there are people that live around you that would probably want to come out. They are more than willing to assist you and help you with getting it off the ground, help you so that you don't get into any potholes, that you don't get into any financial issues that would hurt you in the long run. Because sometimes people, for example, sometimes people will go to a place and say, hey, I'm going to bring some people here. And they'll say, yeah, but you got to give me like a $2,000 deposit, you know, and stuff like that. And there are ways to work around that or work with that. And so the Bar Citizen International is more than happy to help you if you guys are interested in doing something like that. So we just want to keep that in mind. Okay. All right. And last but not least, as always, each week we take a look at the sneak peek that was in the newsletter for this week. And the little title there for it was, I wonder what this does. And I'm going to ask you, do you wonder what that is? Or do you know what that is? Or have you seen that or seen that location? What do you think, Serious?
Yeah, I'll tell you that this, for me, feels evocative of CitizenCon Direct and the Rock Breaker set of missions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what this feels evocative of. It may not be that at all. Mm-hmm. When I saw it, that's what I thought.
That's what came to mind. I'm going to tell you what came to mind for me. Anytime I see a bunch of guys wearing hard hats and lights, and they're dressed up for work, and they're looking in a hole, and they say, I wonder what this is, I'm running away. I'm not confident that they know what they're doing personally. I'm a little spooked now.
They're about to catch a rock Valacar.
No, well, yeah, I wonder what this does. I don't know if that's because they opened it up and they're seeing something inside and that's what they're responding to. Because I'm hoping that if they work there, they know what that is. Now, I did try to figure out what that location was. And at first, what I thought it was I thought that was some location at Orison on one of the platforms that I hadn't seen because of the way it's designed. But in light of all, to your point, all the newness of things, particularly the area underground at Levski, the new area that they said they want to start installing, what's it called? The waterworks, not the waterworks, the something works. What's that area under there called, y'all?
Works.
The municipal works. I started thinking maybe it was something in relation to that. Something in the municipal works, something that we're going to be seeing that's taking place down there. So,
well, and remember when they first started talking about that, they talked about a version of it called the Depths. Mm-hmm. They talked about that being at Area 18.
Yeah.
So maybe this is something that multiple locations will get once they flesh it out.
You know what it could be too? Distribution center. Because we're still only at medium distribution centers. We haven't seen small ones. We haven't seen large ones. And if they start to become incorporated in, that's another gameplay area that we just haven't seen. And we knew that in those, there were lower levels in those too. Remember that we still haven't seen yet either. So, there's a lot of stuff. I don't know what you guys might think it might be, but this is one of those ones where I'm not sure. Cubit says maybe it's something about a face hugger. I wonder what this is. The last words of Cain.
Don't stick your face down in it. That's correct.
Something
Whatever
like that.
It is.
Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. We have kind of covered all of our ground in relation to...
The only other thing I'll add to Star Citizen this week, and
I gotta go back.
We got Chachi Sanchez in the chat, is the emergence of an experimental feature in Star Citizen, and they had sort of given a hint to what this would be in the PTU, and this week they revealed that it was VR.
Yeah, which is part of 4 or 5 that we're going to talk about. So we're going to hit that. But go ahead. What are you going to say?
Just that this week has been. I'm not going to talk too much about it because we do have it as a piece in our thing. But just that this week, the community has exploded.
Yeah. They have
excitement.
They have exploded. Yeah. This was the thing I wanted to highlight to you. Sometimes we know we all get the newsletter, but you all know that Galactica, who's one of the community managers, well, she's actually the community manager who handles our social media, handles their social media, not ours, theirs, posts things. And as I was getting ready this evening, I just happened to be flipping through and I came across this on Instagram. And this was one of the images that was there by Victor Hermes. But the reason why I highlighted this is because I was like, that looks good.
Yes.
But that shirt, when we got that in Luminalia, people hated it. But
we just got it again.
And I'm saying, but now it looks good. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because sometimes we get these little pieces of things, you know what I mean? And we think, what is this for? What does that got to do? But once you start putting some of these things together, they start to come together in a different way. You know what I mean? So now it's like, oh man, put that gun with that shirt. It don't look so bad now, you know? So I'm just kind of noticing that some of the other items that were posted, you guys can take a look at the social media. They've got a couple other things with some armors and things. One of them is the Microtech armor. And it's like, wow, this actually looks good. You know, before I wasn't that crazy about it, but in certain settings, or if you add this to it, certain things really look good. In fact, Togi had an armor on that I didn't like normally. It was the Headhunter's armor. I never liked the helmet for it, but he had the yellow one on the other day, and he had that, you know, that helmet that's got the mohawk to it with the light.
Yeah.
He had that yellow helmet on that armor, and it totally made it look different to me. And I was like, that looks cool. I was like, dude, what armor is that? You know, he said, oh, that's the so-and-so armor. I was like, really? And he said, yeah, but it's the different helmet. It looks so good. I've never worn that armor, but now I might wear it because I know how to wear it with the right helmet, you know. But it was really, really cool. But I just wanted to highlight that you know, the Luminalia pieces and things we get, don't toss them away. You never know; they might start to come together eventually with time. I guess is what I want to share with you guys.
Yeah, and look good, right? And
look good, yeah, it may look good, yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into update 4.5. CIG this year, as many of you all know, has been pushing forward ever since we reached into 4.0. And we've been getting, I think our updates have been coming approximately anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, which is an escalated or accelerated way that we've been receiving them. Mostly we would normally see a patch once a quarter. And we were very used to that every 3 months, maybe 3 months, give or take, a patch would come out. This year, we know that CIG said that they wanted to put a lot more emphasis on trying to get the game to be much more stable, work on bugs. And for many people at the beginning of the year, they felt that, you know, that meant, well, if they're going to do that, maybe we won't be seeing new things come into the game, or not that much. Ironically, we have almost every patch, there's been things that have still been added, sometimes a lot, sometimes a little, but there have been features, there's been content of things that we've been getting. And as we're reaching the end of the year now with 4.5, there's a lot that has been added in this patch. Now, there's been a lot of buzz, to your point, Sirius. There's been a lot of buzz about 2 things in particular, the engineering area and now the VR. But what we want to go through today with you guys is with 4.5, there's a lot more to it than just those 2 things. And some of it is interconnected to those things. So what we want to do today is just kind of touch on these. I will admit, this weekend, normally Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I do all my deep research. I was doing some other stuff this weekend that didn't allow me to get into 4.5 the way I should have. But SeriousFun, my co-producer, has been dabbling and dibbling, and he's been doing missions and some other stuff. So I'm going to be relying on him a lot tonight to talk about where things are with the PTU. Now, as you guys know, 4.5 is in PTU. It's available to everybody right now. Interestingly enough, and I want to start out with this series to talk to you about this. A lot of times when we get a patch, you hear one of the normal things that's on the list of things that people talk about is performance. And this is one of the few times I have not heard people talking about performance that much. Like, in other words, it's buggy, or now I'm not referring to like Levski and stuff. I'm talking about just the 4.5 patch. But I want to know, is that because people have been so focused on the engineering that they haven't noticed anything, or has the performance to you seemingly been pretty good for a PTU patch?
Well, my take on it would be that early on when the patch dropped, the performance, particularly in Nyx, was terrible, and we were hearing that a lot, right? But to you know, I may be like you in that I kind of ignore performance gripes when a PTU patch first drops, because I feel like we hear it every PTU patch a little bit, right? And it almost always improves. What I listen for is the rate of improvement with each patch, right? And so I think we've seen that standard rate of improvement with each of these patch drops, to the point where, yes, people can shift from, you know, it's a slideshow over here at Nyx, to I can be at Nyx and actually test the features that they want me to test. So I think that did happen, and early on it was rough, mainly at Nyx, but I think that they've addressed a good portion of that. A good portion of that, and people were able to lean in and really engage with. We're going to talk about all the stuff they engage with, but let's just, you know, let's begin with engineering.
So Nyx, when we got Nyx, there was a lot of stuff going on. That was 4.4. So now that we're going into 4.5, do you feel that Nyx is better? It's running better in PTU? Because I've gone to Nyx in 4.4. I have not gone to Nyx in 4.5. You do feel it's better?
I was not, for a couple of patch iterations of 4.5. I was not starting at Nyx, and then I took a chance on the last two. You know how they get you to restart your home location, and I started at Nyx, and it was perfectly fine. So,
okay, then that's good news. I can't complain about that. Okay, all right.
Sure, go
ahead.
The other piece, I can read this and then talk about the latest changes if you want to do that.
That's fine. Yeah, give me a second. I just got to get my stuff together here. With the engineering updates or something else you're talking about? Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
So, you know, as Griff said earlier, it's clear that most significant update in 4.5 is really these engineering updates. Shield health has been increased and balanced for all shield component sizes and types. Adjusted engineering screen, and I want to talk extensively about the engineering screen when we get a chance, but to go directly to the main display when interacted with, they added fire as a state for components on engineering terminal pips. Doors can now be locked open, so proximity will not trigger. Reduced fuse damage overall for all ships, and this is important, made fuses immune for single seaters, right? Which I think is something that, I don't know if that change is going to last, but this is something that they're iterating with here. Penetration value balancing update to reduce penetration distance and reduced radii of the damaged cone. And added resistance to the power plant to delay death compared to other components, right? Because that whole process of power plant death and then ship death was happening too fast. Return space drag, which is CIG physics, right? Although, you know, there is interstellar space dust, so technically there is drag in space, but it's so minimal, right, in the vacuum. But they return space drag as a measurable ship feature to ships, so that they do not float on forever after being disabled, because disabled essentially treats you like uncoupled, right? And you can just float on forever, right? Now that, you know, the Jade Star Watchers and others who live this stuff might say that's what's supposed to happen, right? But I get that to facilitate gameplay and make it fun, right? And to tell people where you are to get some help after being disabled, you don't want your ship to float on forever. So that's the engineering updates. I wanted to talk a little bit about the most recent patch, and my experience of the engineering screen, if I could.
Sure.
Maybe I'm old. I am old. The engineering screen is too small for me.
Yeah, you had to put on your reading glasses when you go up to the thing. Is that what you're trying to say?
I need. It feel like a 27-inch. I need a 54-inch. I need a bigger monitor relative to, you know, it's like you know how you when you click on it you step up to it a la an ASOP terminal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I need it to be a little bit bigger. They're not going to do that, so I'm going to have to suck it up. But that has been my reaction, particularly when you get into some of these bigger ships. Like when you go to the engineering screen and you're dealing with the resource network for a freelancer, for example, it feels like it's got the capacity to handle that. But when you start talking about just even a Apollo, let alone a Polaris, it's just it's too small. I don't know how the chat feels about that, but that struck me playing this weekend.
When you say it's too small, you're referring to when you click on it and it actually zooms in and fills your screen. It's too small.
Yeah, it's just the stuff is. I actually want it to stay back a little bit.
Okay.
And give me and maybe it's a detail thing. I felt like it was just too small. The screen is too small.
That's
I might
interesting.
have to show you sometime when maybe after dark.
Yeah, you know. yeah. Because I looked at it.
And Captain No Pants gets at it. Some stuff is just too hard to read.
Hard to read. Yeah. Do you think that maybe if they do they need to do like the zoom in mouse wheel feature where you get, I mean, I know you can do that a little bit. Does it need to be able to zoom in more? But I know when you zoom in, you also lose perspective of stuff outside of that area too, right?
Yeah.
Because I know we're looking at components.
The zoom feature needs to be examined, I think, right?
Okay.
Like, when I zoom in, how do I zoom in? How easily can I zoom back out, move over, and still understand where I am with stuff that's now off the screen because of the zoom?
Gotcha.
I mean, to me, Captain No Pants' comment is interesting. He said, there is a reason that in my profession, the aircraft I fly, we have synoptic screens that have easy-to-read diagrams customized for the aircraft that make it simple and fast to read, like during an emergency. You do not have a 3D diagram of the aircraft. That'd be too hard to read.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, that on the one hand, I get that. On the other hand, I get CIG trying to create a system that works for all spacecraft, right? You know, when I think about Star Citizen, I think about things like, you know, we have started to get, for example, MFD layouts that are manufacturer specific. Right? You know, we're still waiting on the origin specific MFD layout. But some, you know, Drake looks different than RSI looks different. It might be beneficial to start getting manufacturer specific engineering screen layouts, but it might be too much. It might be a bridge too far right now. But towards the point that Captain No Pants was making, there might be some benefit to having an RSI team think through what RSI ships need in engineering and how they need to see it versus another ship.
Okay. Let's take a look at it later. I'm curious to see what you were seeing because I haven't run into that problem yet. I do know that there are certain icons and things that seem to be a bit, you know, you got to kind of stretch to look at them a little bit. But I am curious to see what it is that you were seeing. Well, this is just a quick overview of the engineering because we're going to break down some other things that we're going to talk about. Let's go to the next one. I'll read the next one that we have here. And that's the scanning update. And this was made caves and harvestables show up via scanning, increase the range at which FPS minables show in scanning, new marker configurations for harvestables and ground mining. By the way, guys, I pulled these Friday, and they came out with another patch Friday, and there's been some adjustments. So hopefully we're not going to be too far off, but where I know they made some updates, hopefully I'm going to remember them and tell them to you. This one here with the scanning, yes, this is true. They have made harvestables easier to scan, but one of the things they also did was make it so that finding caves is not as easy. They pulled that back some. And mind you, we always try to remind folks that you know, whether we're in PT or live, everything is about testing. Everything is always about testing and seeing how the players respond to things that are introduced in the game, as well as their analytics and all the other stuff that comes along with that. So if there are some people who feel like, hey, we want to be able to scan for caves, for example, and just randomly, right? Not because somebody told me to go there, but I just felt like, let me go out here and see if I can find some cave I never found before. If that's more difficult or virtually impossible, we need to let them know. At the same time, there may be reasons why they've pulled this back some. One of the things, I was listening to Ryan from Mac Brothers, and he was saying that, what's going to happen later on when Maelstrom is introduced, and when we have things that get get destroyed, how do we track that? How will the game track that if it's not there anymore? Things of that nature. So keep in mind that there's always possibly something else behind why things are being done, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't express any suggestions or ideas or concerns you have when you see something in the game and you're just kind of like, I wonder why they did that. A lot of times I try to say, I wonder why they did that instead of saying, why did they do that? Right? I really, because sometimes there's some reasons behind it. And then sometimes you just don't know. Let's face it. They're just trying to see how things are going. So sometimes there's methods to the madness. But my point is, make sure you share your thoughts and ideas when things like this come up, because scanning is going to be very important to everybody who's playing the game. Could you read the one for hull penetration for us?
Yeah. Let me just
my
comment on caves real quick is,
sure.
I was 100% sure when they first started making caves scannable that this was because they had telemetry, they had metadata that was telling them people ain't going to these caves. These acidic caves and all this other cave types and people, and it's cool, and people ain't going, right? And now they've made them so ubiquitously reachable that it doesn't. The exploration piece was being impacted, so they're ramping it back. I like the idea that they're ramping it back, but not ramping it all the way back where you can't find them at all. Right? Trying to find that.
Right.
Because as much as I am trepidatious about caves, I want to see caves, especially the new cave types. And on occasion, I would fly around just trying to find. I couldn't find them just flying around.
Yeah. I like going to caves. I'm always laughing at people who tell me they hate going in caves because they get lost. They lose their sense of bearing. And I love going in caves. I'll go down deep into them and walk right out of them. And people are like, wait, slow down. I can't find you. I guess it's a matter of just keeping, I don't know what it is, but I've never had problems with going to unmarked caves and stuff. I don't drop flares or anything. I just I guess I have this weird feeling of knowing where up is. I don't know what it is. Maybe if I don't have to go up in this cave, just go sideways, I'll get lost. I don't know. But if you go down, I usually can find my way out of a cave. I know some people don't like that, though. Okay.
Hull penetration.
Yes.
Hull penetration. Penetration damage will now scale radially. This means at point of hull penetration, remaining damage in the cone will scale linearly downwards. The further into the ship the munition goes, and the further radially out from the center of the munition path.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is that once you get to start hull penetration, damage in the cone will scale on a linear fashion downward, straight downward, like at an angle from that penetration, right? And linearly or radially, in terms of a radius out from that line, the center of the munition path, it will go out radially. And I guess they have the chance now that they're doing it radially to say, at R1, damage is X, maybe at R2 damage is 0.5X, at R3 maybe damage is 0.3X, right?
Yeah.
In that concentric circle out from the line of penetration.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
And just so you guys will know what this change is about, is because initially CIG had talked about this cone when something would hit, when a target was hit, that the damage was basically spread. So let's say you had a power plant, and then you had a shield generator, and you had a radar. What would happen is it would hit, and then it would go out like this, and they would all take damage, which is why so many of the components were going down so quickly. And to Sirius's point, now it's going to, the bulk of the hit would hit the power plant, and then the rest would disperse. And it's not equal going out now. Now it's going to go out and spread outward to the other ones, but with less damage to those items. The main contact point is boom, the power plant, but radially it's still going to have like not the burst. It's like an area of effect thing, but just not all catching the same number at the same time. And to your point, then the more it's broken down, the deeper the penetration, which they had already talked about doing that. And some people definitely wanted that because you have some ships where the components are all literally right next to each other. You've got other ships where their shield generators, 10 meters that way away from, and then their radars over here. And so there was some definite concerns about ships like a cutter, for example, where you've got 6 components all sitting, stacked on top of each other, right? Very easy targeting to do and damage all those components simultaneously. So again,
you got other ships that have natural redundancies.
Yes.
And so I'm not sure that they were thinking about all this when they were building all those ships. But now they're trying to make sure they account for all those design choices.
Yeah.
Also made further updates to shield energy weapon resistances. So shields will take slightly more damage from energy weapons. Resistances updates for all shield components to increase the lifetime of components. New impact effect for item/component repairing. Removed empty salvage canisters from loot. Good. Misk Freelancer Misk shield health has gone up 180 points to 3,900, and the Misk Starlancer tax shield health has gone up a little under 2,000 points to 24,000. Glad to see the Misk Freelancer Misk get some love of any kind.
Yeah.
I almost thought that got forgot except every IAEs.
Our buddy Colossal's a big Misk person, and one of the things he always highlights about the lore of mixed ships is that with their technology, along with the Xi'an stuff that they do, that those ships are supposed to be armored pretty well, and so ships like the TAC should be able to be durable. The Starfarer, things of that nature. That whole shiny chrome thing is supposed to be meaningful, not just cosmetic. I was thinking about. I remember reading in the PR. The marketing piece for the Endeavor. One of the things, it was either in the marketing or it was on the page about the Endeavor when it was introducing the Endeavor. It talked about that the ship was supposed to be able to even withstand a meteor shower, right? So, as armor is starting to come in, people have been asking for, armor's always been in some form. It's been this generic version of armor. But now, hopefully we'll start seeing this thing that certain ships that are built a certain way, you Drake people, that now we'll start understanding why Misk ships might take a little bit more make a little bit more punishment, right? But every ship is going to have a little bit of an Achilles heel. Some of them are also going to have some great strengths. I think they're going to have, and that's a balancing adjective when you've got so many manufacturers with lore behind them, and it's going to also cause us to really. SeriousFun is going to really cause us to know our ships, right? We have to really know our ship, what our ship's capabilities of, what its weaknesses are, what its strengths are, right? Not just every ship is the same. All it does is just look cosmetically different on the outside. That will suck.
Because you don't have enough time in life to develop a relative mastery of all these ships. You're going to have to pick a ship or two. Right? And develop a relative mastery of those ships.
Yeah.
Now you get people who buy a ship and you ask them to give you a tour, and they don't know where everything is. They're gonna know where everything is. They're gonna know where every component is. They're gonna know how the resource network works. They're gonna know. I mean, if you really want to have success, it's gonna take time.
Yeah.
To develop a relative mastery of your ship, and that means.
Or a good
engineer.
engineer.
You may have a fleet of 16 ships, but you're going to really know one or two.
Or a good engineer, right? If you've got that good engineer, and listen, you all, don't underestimate players. There are some people who will eat, drink, and sleep engineering. You may not care about it, or you may not think it's important, but you will find that there are people who this is their jam. This is what they have been wanting to do. And all they're going to say is, let me at it. So as an owner of a ship, obviously it's good to know where things are on your ship and what you can do and access them. But listen, look for those folks who are really into engineering, those people who are going to take a sense of pride of keeping a crew alive or making sure that a mission is finished, because the work they did on there to help was great work. It's because of that engineer that kept everybody going and extended the life of that ship. So,
and this is where those org tools that were introduced at the Citizen Con in Manchester, I think needed deeper systems around my ability to say, I had an experience with GriffinGamingRPG. He was an engineer on my ship, and my rating of him is 5 out of 5, right? So that you can walk around now with some average that represents other people's take on you. And I only get to do that because we had a mission together, right? And CIG knows we had a mission together. You were on my ship. You were assigned the role of engineer, and now I get to rate that, right? And you know, with people walking around with 5 out of 5, you know, and they've got 100 ratings, 200 ratings, or whatever it ends up being. You know, it's just like when you go to Google reviews or Yelp, you know, you ain't going to the restaurant that only got 1 rating, is a 1 star, right? There was a restaurant in my hometown for a long time, had 1 star, and the comment was, go here if you want to get killed or something like that. Right?
That might be somebody's
going there.
Nobody's going there, right? I know. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Ship fire hazards. Bringing fire hazards to ships and environments, along with fire extinguisher mechanics, requiring players to manage and extinguish blazes before they spread. This includes retrievable fire extinguishers aboard ships that have a limited use before needing to be recharged. We covered this last week when we did our show on engineering. So I'm not going to go deep into this, and I know everybody's talked about fire for like almost 3 weeks now. But this is a part of 4.5. It was introduced in PTU. It's not in 4.4 right now. But this engineering piece, does bring some challenges to multi-crew gameplay. CIG has also talked about making sure that this type of gameplay really affects multi-crew scenarios more than single-seater fighters. Now, there are some single-seater ships that do have engineering stations. One of the ones I own is the Intrepid. The Crusader Intrepid has an engineering station in it. Even though it is a single-player ship, it's not a fighter. It is more of like I guess it would be the equivalent of like what would be somebody's Drake Scout or something like that. I don't own any of those Drake. What is those ships called? What's that ship?
Cutter, the Clipper.
The Cutters. Do the Cutters have? Do they have a engineering screen in them? Do you know?
I don't know why you asking me about Eddie Drake ships. You know, you had to ask the chat.
All right, chat. The Rambler, does the Cutter have an engineering station in it, guys? I don't know if it does or not. It's a starter. It's an advanced starter, I guess. It's an advanced starter. Does anybody know? I don't even know. That's a good question. But I do know the Intrepid has one. And when I saw it, I was like, ooh, I wasn't expecting that. So I'm going to have to make sure I'm on point with that ship. But if you have to get up and walk around their ship, a lot of them, that means you've got an engineering panel. But for fighters, single-seat fighters, you don't have to worry about the whole, something like that taking place. I'm not going to tell them about flying Drake. They can find out about flying their Drake. One of the things I noticed yesterday when we were out, Togi was out. He took a C2 out for us he deliberately set it up so that it would overheat and we could see what fire was like on that ship. And it was in the hangar. This wasn't in combat or anything like that. They have tweaked things a lot now. The process of the coolers when they're shut down and how long it takes to heat up is a longer time now, which people were asking for because they were saying power plants were going way too fast. And I'm trying to remember, was there any cascading effect? There was something that was buggy going on because we were getting an alarm saying that there was a fire existing, but he went to all the components and checked the temperatures on all of them, and they were all normal. So it might have been just the fact that alarm just kicked in and just stayed in and didn't go away. I know one of the earlier bugs with fire was where they were getting the fire alarm and the component was on fire, but the graphics didn't show it. Right. And then there was another issue where people were putting out fires. And we talked about this last week. They were putting out the fire because they didn't see the fire anymore, but the component was still running at like 500, 700 Celsius, and they didn't cool it down. And so they walked away, and then it would catch fire again. So people have kind of forgotten you have to pay attention to the temperature gauge on your extinguisher and bring that temperature down. It can't be just because you don't see fire anymore, you think it's okay. I know there's a desire as soon as you see the fire to go out to move on to the next thing, but you could actually get yourself in a lot of trouble by walking away, going deeper into the fire, and then the component behind you reignites again. So it's going to be interesting to see how we can. This is still being ironed out, gang. It's not there yet. It's a lot of fun, a little bit of frustration, but we need to keep working on it and submitting our suggestions to how we can get this thing fine-tuned in. Anything you want to say about the fire thing? Anything else before we move on?
No, I just the Star Engine video had us passing, the camera from the video passes through a anvil carrack on fire, and then shows us in the carrack.
No, this was a reclaimer, wasn't it? Reclaimer.
Was it a reclaimer?
It was the reclaimer.
It was some ship that was on fire, and then we was in atmosphere, so we saw smoke. I want smoke. That's all.
Now, I heard that there was smoke. There's no smoke.
Is there smoke? I haven't seen it.
I didn't see it yesterday, but I thought I heard that there was smoke. I watched somebody's video like a week ago, and they were talking about they couldn't even see because there was so much smoke in the ship. So maybe they pulled smoke back.
We had smoke in the Polaris. We were on the Polaris bridge and couldn't even see each other. So there was. But I'm talking about like in atmosphere. Like,
you want smoke billowing? You want smoke billowing out? Oh, yeah. Okay. I got you. Okay, smoke was removed, toned down because you couldn't see anything. Okay,
that's true.
Okay, that's fair. Well, you know what I thought they were going to do when they talked about smoke, because they showed in the demonstration, was that smoke was going to do like it does in real fire. Well, not it kind of does this in fires, but it can get to a point where you can't see it all. But a lot of times, smoke will hover above you, and you have to kind of stay low to avoid being in the bunch of it. But you know that would be difficult too because you can't crawl around in Star Citizen like that. So I don't know. We'll have to see what they do with that. But I do want some type of haze. You know, I don't want to just get to a point where it's just totally obscured and you can't see where you're going. That's going to be a pain in the butt. Okay, that's fire hazards. What time are we at? Our time? You know what? No, we'll do our commercial in a second. Let's go ahead and jump into these next couple things that we'll do. This is a big one.
I'll go quickly through.
This is a big one.
Because this is a big one.
Yeah.
Vulkan renderer and graphics settings updates.
Whoa, Star Jump Grim sending us over with 223 viewers. Grim, I saw you were on tonight. I made a note to raid you, and you're raiding us. Well, thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Citizens. Grim, hope you had a wonderful stream as always. I know you are excited about all the things that are taking place in engineering and the upcoming 4.5.
They were talking RSI Galaxy appropriately talking RSI shit.
Oh, God, so. You made the RSI man happy, Grim. Anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Welcome, everybody. We are just doing an overview of Update 4.5, which we all know is in PTU right now. Thank you for coming over and hanging out with us. Grim, again, hope you guys had a great great stream. And if I don't get to talk to you before the holidays, I do hope you have a great holiday, you and the team over at Star Jump. Hope you guys are doing well. Okay, let's jump back into the Vulkan thing. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just saying this is a big one, right? The Vulkan renderer and graphics settings updates, increasing both the stability, and that has been my experience, no doubt, and the speed of the Vulkan renderer with many crash fixes, diagnostic improvements, and multi-threaded render submission, while adding support for HDR and NVIDIA's DLSS transformer model. Also included is an overhaul to the graphics options with many new settings, yes indeed, and a VRAM bar to help players configure the graphics for their GPU. Now, last game where I had a VRAM bar, I think was Grand Theft Auto 5. And I really liked that because I could see how I was maximizing the use of my GPU, so I really appreciated that. I've also gotten a PC up in Jersey, where my parents are. We've gotten a PC, and for the first time, I have an AMD CPU, right? So it's an AMD CPU, NVIDIA GPU, and Vulkan and the multi-threaded render, it works for that. Much better than historically my Intel processors have worked for that. So really enjoying these improvements. The only thing I don't have is an HDR monitor. We can talk to CC Creator and others about how that is, but I have really enjoyed the customization that's available now with the graphics options and the ability to really test back and forth between the transformer model and the other model, and be able to see all that. This was one thing that CIG really wanted to get done and get right, and it was a question as to whether that was going to happen this year, but it has. It's here, and it seems to be working pretty well. So
yeah, I think that the NVIDIA people are still having a little bit of struggle. I watched a couple of videos of people who were there was some things they had to do there were still some issues that they were having, but they could get it to work, but there was some tweaking that they had to do it. I'm AMD now, and so I've always enjoyed, whenever the Vulkan was running great, I loved it. It was, I could see a distinct difference in performance and even the way the game looked. And whenever it wasn't working, I was always frustrated to kind of make a step back. But now that Vulkan is become much more stable in the game, and I'm just really enjoying it. So for those of you who can take advantage of it, take advantage of it. Give it a shot. I'm probably going to get with you and CC so you guys can help me tweak mine, because I'm kind of generic with it. But to your point, if you guys go into the options now, you'll see that there's a lot more options that are available to us for graphics and adjusting, so that you can now customize things to your computer. For many years, CIG kind of either said go all the way to very high or low, don't go in the middle, it's not working right, blah, 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 blah. But now, you can get some better stuff. Gomab just said something about this, another one of our good tech guys. He says Vulkan equals slightly lower FPS, but smoother frame rates. So it just is a matter of what works for people.
He said smoother frame times.
Frame times, right? Frame times, right? Frame times. Yeah, frame times. Togi says it's been poo for him. It hasn't worked well for him. So, again, let's see what we can do. I would love to get together with you guys, myself, and see if I can get some things tweaked there for Vulkan for my computer. All right. Last but not least, this is one that I know for some people, this is just a bah. And then there are other people, they're just totally excited about this, right? Physicalized helmets. Now, this one, you kind of had to be around back in the day to understand why people are excited about this one. Implementing physical helmets in the persistent universe. Pick one up, rotate it, inspect it of every detail, carry it around, attach it to your hip, or toss it across the room if you want. When you equip a helmet, you put on or remove the same one you held in your hands, complete with fully realized interior. So, why is this a thing? For many of you who were around back in the day, I'm talking about, when I say back in the day, I mean like 2013 to 2014. In the very first presentation we got of the hangar, personal hangars, when you logged in and you came into the hangar, there was a stand that was in the hangar when you walked down the hallway, and on that stand was a helmet. And when people first saw the hangar, they're like, wow, that's so cool. But then the avatar walked up to this helmet, grabbed it, tossed it, and flipped it on. And the place went crazy. It was weird to me, but I was like, they're getting crazy over a helmet. But that was a thing. It was a thing. And it stayed in the memories of many backers of Star Citizen, that idea of being able to pick that helmet up, flip it, put it on. And over the years, we have not really had that, right? We've had like a just click on it and it jumps on your head kind of thing, or pick up a box and you kind of half saw it glitch a little bit and fly onto your head. Well, now that animation has been put into the game, and it's just something, it's a quality of life piece that brings together the dream for a lot of people of being able to have that helmet and put it on their head and go into battle. So, or flight, whatever the case may be. So it's just nice. This is a QOL thing, quality of life thing, but it just brings the vision a little bit closer for a lot of people, especially from a nostalgic point of view. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Mm-hmm. I love it. As somebody who was, special drill team, Air Force Junior RTC, and then went to the Air Force Academy out of high school, the idea of carrying your cap, carrying your cover in a certain way feels good, feels right. I like carrying it under my arm on the left side even better than hooking it to my hip in the back.
Yeah.
And all of this is better than what we were getting before, which was I would, put my helmet on, I get a green box on my head, and then all of a sudden the helmet would appear. Now I'm getting the helmet, I'm getting the interior of the helmet. This is one of my favorite features.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. I'm going to give a quick shout out to Stout Man. I embarrass him every time he pops up over here, but Stout Man is one of the very first streamers I started watching back in 2012, 2013. I would stay up and watch his midnight streams for hours, and he was one of the people. I know he's like, who is this guy that keeps talking about me? But I always remember him because he kept me going many a nights when I was doing the midnight shift, trying to stay awake, getting a chance to watch him. So you guys check out Stout Man when you get a chance. I want to give a quick shout out to him before we go to our commercial break. And it's time for our commercial break. We're going to be right back, just 1 minute away. Thank you all for being here. Those of you stuck around from Grim, appreciate you all being here. Just one commercial and we'll be right back. So we'll be right back. Greetings, everyone. If you are here watching us, it's because you are one of our sponsors. You're one of the people who supports us and
love us.
Because you love us, and we appreciate you. We appreciate you being here. As always, we tell you guys this every week, but we don't ever want you to think that we take it for granted. Whether you're here supporting because you're just here, watching, or because you've contributed to us financially, we really appreciate it. You have no idea how much it helps keep this show going in its 5th year as we approach our 6th year coming up this March. Sirius, you want to say anything?
No, we're just super thankful. I like to begin and end in gratitude. And you all are a large portion of the reason that not only we're here, but that we can do some of the things that we do in the community and for the community. So we're just blessed and thankful. It is great to have you here, and we appreciate your support. We couldn't do it without you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we are back. Thank you for being here with us today as we continue talking about Update 4.5, which is in the PTU at this time. Many of you have had the opportunity to go in and try it out and figure it out, and there's a lot of figuring in this particular patch that we've been dealing with, especially if you're trying to look at the engineering side of things. But we're just kind of covering some of those other things outside of engineering and fire that a lot of people have been talking about. So let's go ahead and jump right back into it here. Snub fighters and interceptor balance pass.
Yep.
This one, CIG has been actually doing this for different ships over the past few patches, where they've been going back in and balancing certain classes of ships. And now it's the snub fighters and interceptors. Patch 4.5 introduces additional tuning refinements to the snub fighter and the interceptor class, with a focus on strengthening their unique roles, such as combat or racing. And this includes the Mirai Fury in all its variants, the Origin 85X, the Kruger P52, the Kruger P72, the Mirai Razor in all its variants, the Origin M50, the Aegis Avenger in all its variants, and the Origin 300i series. SeriousFun, I know you are a big fan of the Mirai? No.
Guardian.
The Guardian. That's the Guardian. So that's not on this list. Okay.
I am a fan of the Kruger ships that are attached to RSI ships. So I did test this.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, it had to be associated to RSI. Okay. So what did you find?
And I pulled the Kruger ship, the P52 off of my Constellation Aquila.
Okay.
And I did not experience much difference. Now, so then I took myself to Spectrum, and I'm seeing talk and conversation that it has been really a hardening pass of armor and hull of about 10%. I don't know if that's the case. I didn't have an opportunity to really experience that. The flight dynamics and the weapon speed, weapon fall off, all that stuff felt the same to me as it always has. But I didn't take it into extended combat.
Okay.
So that's where you would find the time to kill, for example, as a result of those changes extended. Right. So I'll have to do more with that. I am not, although I'm a big fan of the Origin 85X, if I was living in the verse, this would be how me and my wife would go to Whole Foods, right? We would be next to each other. But I don't own some of these other ships, so I'd have to wait for you to get in with some of these Origin ships to tell us how you're experiencing changes. For me, this is, if you all remember Yogi talking about wanting to get to a class definition that was experiential around interceptors and what an interceptor meant.
Right.
This is their next cut at that. So it'd be very interesting to see what the chat has to say about it and how that evolves. Because an interceptor, in real life is a very fast fighter that is lightly armed but quickly gets to the area of engagement, right? For reconnaissance or for first, to seek to take air superiority at that location, right? It's trying to get there quickly. And so these ships, we all know that these ships are quick. But what's the trade-off, right? What's the balance, right?
Yeah.
You could see it if you compare this to like a heavy fighter, right? A heavy fighter shouldn't be able to get there as quick, but once it gets there, it should be able to last longer, right? But it's really an interceptor class ship versus another ship that's a small fighter or another ship that's a medium fighter. How is it really different?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what they end up trying to say about what an interceptor is here.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to throw something out. Captain Jones, I know you're out there. I just want to kind of make a mental note. I think I mentioned part of this to you, but I'm going to mention it now because if I don't, I will forget. Let's see if we can set up a time to do a Friday night piece that has to do with snub fighters. I know I talked to you about us doing something with the Furies, but let's also include something like those P-52s. Right, something that we'll go out there and just do some dogfighting or something with just those. Right, I'd just be really interesting if they've been doing some tweaking to these ships. To your point, Sirius, me, I'm the Kruger, love the Kruger stuff, and of course I have Origin 85X. I've got a Fury as well. I definitely am happy to see that these ships are getting some type of love. They're often forgotten. And some of it is because the appropriateness of their use, particularly when they don't have quantum drives, people struggle with them. I love using them for reconnaissance. For role players, they'll probably find use for these things like crazy. I remember back in the day, we were even using like the P-52 to do recon for when we wanted to land a larger ship down on the surface of a planet somewhere. Somebody would go down and find a good landing spot, and then we go down and track and find them. And you could use other small ships to do that too. But these ships here, I think a lot of people enjoy them and they're a lot of fun to fly. But we also need them to be very relevant in the universe. And even the 300i series in here, I remember for quite a while, the 325 was the fighter ship for many people, that interceptor. And then they pulled it back some and then it kind of fell off the wagon. So we'll see where it lands when all this is done. And of course, the Aegis Avenger has been a favorite of a lot of people and a recommended favorite to people who want to upgrade from a starter package. That ship has kind of still been a favorite of a lot of folks out here. Okay. Ready then? Next one up, weapons and items on you.
Yeah, new weapons, armors, attachments, and clothing priced and added to shops. Added the L-21 Wolf to the ship shops. The Hornet Heartseeker turret, which is really the Hornet Heartseeker kit, added to shops. Fire extinguisher added to shops, which is interesting because that means that people are losing fire extinguishers, or maybe they just want additional ones in places where they're not stock. And then PDCs will now target and shoot bombs even if not hostile, which is, essentially the function that they showed us in the new Gray Cat mobile turret platform.
MDC.
Being responsive to that bombing run.
Wow. Is it Thracazox? Thracazox, thank you for that community gift sub. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, let's get some more shout outs too. Sejanus21, thank you for the follow. Layson for the follow. Thank you also. We appreciate you. Sethiander, thank you for the follow. Jarvolo, boy, a lot of people followed. Oh my goodness. Valiant, thank you. Valiant's Co, thank you for the follow. Stickman ZJ. Sovorius, I hope I said that right. Sovorius, thank you. Is it Hagbard? Boy, it's going to Hagbard MI. Boy, you guys have these names. Sokaralen. I know I'm slaughtering your name. Please forgive me. Thank you for the follow. Swami Nation, Major Offensive. Thank you for the follow also. And a Dragon 911. Thank you all so much for following. I think most of you guys came over from Star Jump Grim. Thank you. And Space Duck, I see you up there. Thanks for that follow too. Okay. Okay, some new weapons, armors, attachments that have been placed in the shops and stores. We know that these different things get introduced into the game, and for a few days when they come out, it takes 90 days before things start to go into the stores in the game, so people don't have to spend real money. They can use game credits or they can just use game AUEC, and they can purchase those things. So it's always exciting to see expansion in those areas. The clothing issue for me is always a deal because I'm always looking for new clothing because you know I'm a clothes hog. So I'm curious to see what clothes that they put in. Did you see any of the new clothes? Have you seen any new clothes?
I have not.
I've seen people stealing stuff off NPCs, but I want to know, is there any stuff in the stores that's new? I'm going to have to take a look and see if there's something new there. The L21, that's been added. Is that correct?
I mean, for me, that's the only real wolf because it retains the fin that was the original designer's intention.
Oh, you're going to start some stuff now. Oh, right. My goodness.
No pressure to change and alter's vision.
You're going to get Admiral Kusanagi worked up. There were some people who didn't buy that ship just because the fin was on there. I said, well, you can retract it. He said, still, I don't like it. Well, you can retract it if you don't want it. Well, some people just didn't
people
like
were mad they had to retract it each time. I said, yeah, that's right.
Captain No Pants says the fin had to go. Oh, that is so funny. Finophobic. Yeah, I like that Cichatus. They're finophobic. Finophobia. The Heartseeker turret is bad. Now that one's been asked for a long time. I know Fastcart was a big fan of the Anvil, the Heartseeker, and I know there were issues with the turret, but it's been added to the shops where people can buy that now. Fire extinguishers, like you said. I guess people want extras.
Mark II, though, too, right? This is the Heartseeker Mark I.
That's a good question. I don't know. Who knows? Do you guys know about that? What turret? If it's for the, does that turret fit on both versions? I'm assuming it does. I would think that would be crazy if it only fitted on one version. People would be mad about that. I don't know. The fire extinguisher thing. Do you think that's because people want to have extra fire extinguishers? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because if you got multi-crew, maybe you just have a couple extra ones in your storage. You know. What's the recharge time?
If you want to walk around with one, and you don't want to take it from the slots that you have, now you can get them.
What's the recharge time on those things? I never tried to see, like, if you empty it out, how long it takes for it to reload. Does anybody know?
Well, the first thing, I don't know, but what my experience of it has been that one, the charge doesn't go down as fast as you would worry about it going
Right.
down.
It takes a while. Yeah, it takes a while.
That was the first thing. And in my short experience this weekend, using it didn't use as much as I thought. Putting it back up and then trying it again in some other location, it was charged. So I felt like it didn't take that long.
Okay.
But I didn't really pay attention to how long it took.
Okay. Because I know we watched Togi put out 2 big Class 3 power plants, and he was blowing on them for quite a while. And even for them, I mean, when I say quite a while, I mean like 10 minutes. And I think it got down to like just slightly below 50% when he stopped. So like you said, it took a while for that to get. He didn't run out,
Right.
So, but I am curious as to what the time frame is on recharging on those things. The Heartseeker turret hits on all Mark II Hornets, but not but the turret is broke. Oh, it's broken. Oh, okay. Thanks, Togi. It's broken. I think that's what Fastcart has said about it. They are specific to one. They are specific to 1 and 2 fast cart. Wow. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Let's see. In the PDCs, of course, to your point, Serious. When the commercial came out, there was some definite concerns because people were like, okay, the bomb's falling and the PDC's not doing anything to it. And so, as we told you all, just tell CIG. I know it seemed like an obvious thing, but I saw posts where people talked about it. I even wrote a post about that, and CIG either woke up or they heard you or they said, "Oh yeah, we forgot." But now PDCs do make a little bit more sense for the falling. For those of you who are driving, what is it, the A1 or the A2, PDCs can be a threat to you now, or they can at least be a threat to your ordnance when you drop it. So I think people will be happy about that. Okay, and let's move on. PU loot refresh and collector rebalance. Now, there wasn't a lot of detail about this one, so I'm guessing when they say that there's a PU loot refresh that they've done a scattering or replacement of where loot is. There was no great description.
Well, but I hadn't done enough visiting of different locations to see what that meant.
Yeah, or the incorporation of new items that maybe weren't in loot areas before.
Right.
We're playing a game right now.
What people will track is which items go away. Right?
Yeah, right. One of the things that we're in one of the games we're playing right now, I hate to even mention it, but we're playing a game called Scum, and it got released earlier this year. And they did something just now that I would have thought that they would have done earlier. It never dawned on me that they didn't do this earlier. But there are various locations in the game. There are schools, or towns, or farms, or all these different things. And they just recently are now making items that you find relatable to where you are. So, for example, if you want to build a tractor, go to a farm to get the parts, right? If you want to build a car, go to the city and get the parts. Now, CIG has done that in the sense of distributing certain weapons to different areas throughout the map so that, one, it compels you to travel around the map and just not buy all your stuff in one place. And there is some kind of like certain dealers, certain stores only have this where other stores have that. That's fine. But I also would like to see that certain types of loot make sense to where you are. So if you're at a distribution center, if you're looking for certain types of things, I should know that I'll probably find it at a distribution center, right? I'm looking for certain things. If I go to a bunker, I'll probably find it in a bunker. If I go to a cave, there's certain things I might find in a cave. I would love to see that kind of thing happening versus this random loot that's just kind of scattered all over. And I'm picking something over here that I really didn't want, or it makes no sense even that item is there. I don't know. Do you think that would be kind of a cool thing to do?
I agree with that. My only tweak to that would be I like the mix to be like 85 to 88.
Yeah, a little bit of probability and randomness. I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
And some like 10 to 12% of it, some of it is other places, right?
Yeah.
Because that helps me imagine that, somebody takes something to Pyro in their personal locker, at their settlement that you wouldn't normally find there, but you can imagine it like in the lore that they took it there because they went there.
Yeah. That would be cool. Very cool. Okay. All right. Additional hairstyles. I know there are some people who could care less about this. They just go with that generic character. There are other people who put in, if not minutes, hours developing their characters. And hair is one of those things that CIG recently has been dropping. I think they dropped 4 heads in 4.4. And I don't know how many they did in this particular one. But the hairstyles have been increasing. And, I think it was in LA when they showed us like 32 different hairstyles, if I'm remembering correctly. It was something like that in LA. Do you remember? It was a lot, but we only got like 8 in the beginning.
They had an additional ISC after that about this. Mm-hmm. And the guy that leads this division, CIG, I think the most important thing about this, told us that these take time, but they would be steadily coming. And so this here and this in the last couple of patches is just CIG in this particular case doing what they said they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Which is, early on there was a lot of like, hey, these look good, but we're looking for more. Mm-hmm. And they said we would be giving you more. And they are continuing to give us more. So it's nice to see a moment where CIG is essentially doing almost exactly what they said they were going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've also liked the fact that they've done a variety of styles. They've done like I don't even know what if this old word even applies right now, like unisex hairstyles. Is that still a thing? Unisex? Is that like is that an inappropriate term? I don't know if it's inappropriate or not, but they've had unisex hairstyles, but they've also had sexes that lean more toward more feminine and more masculine too. And I like the fact that there's all of that, because I've seen some people put on a hairstyle that was like, I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, I never saw that before. And it allows people to have whatever creativity they want, whether they're doing it just to have fun or whether they really want to be able to create an image that represents them. I love the fact that they're continuing to add to this. I love when I go into the persistent universe and I see someone who's taken the time, like I was mentioning about Togi with that armor the other day, right? He's taken the time to find something that looked good to him. He didn't know more about it, but to him it looked good. If you just see somebody who's always wearing that same armor that looks like everybody else, it's like, okay, I've seen it on 8 other people. But I like the fact that people can do the mismatching, whether it's with their own avatar or whatever they're wearing in the universe. I think that just makes things just stand out and feel more unique. In any game, not just Star Citizen, but in any game. Okay. Ooh, Quartec. Let me talk about this one because I know you gonna want to talk about the last one. Quartec. This is something that a lot of people kind of don't look at when CIG talks about Quartec. They kind of, it's always at the bottom when we go back and look at the roadmap. But the Quartec items are quite often quality of life things that make the game feel more immersive and bring a visual presence that is a part of what Star Citizen is supposed to be. And some of you all remember me telling this story years ago when I upgraded my computer. I was on a 1070, and when I decided to upgrade my computer, I went from like 16 or 32 gig of RAM to, I went from like 32 to 64, but I changed my processor from a 1070 to a 2080 Super. This was a few years back. And I didn't remember that when I had logged out of the game, I had logged out on the Reclaimer. I went to the bed, logged out, and familiar ship, flew it all the time, knew it in and out. But when I logged back in, I woke up and I'm like, where am I at? I'm not in a hab. I'm like, oh, I forgot. I logged out on the Reclaimer. And as I got up and walked around and I walked down the hallway, all of a sudden I was seeing all these things that I never saw before. I was seeing steam, particle effects, light moving a certain way. And then I realized that those things had been in the game, but I wasn't seeing them because my system did not have the capability for me to see those things, to render them. And so those particle effects and things like that, all of a sudden, it actually made me appreciate the ship that I was in. It made me appreciate the work that CIG had put into it. Because to me, I was just walking down these hallways that were just clear hallways. And all of a sudden, there's this fog and this mist that made the ship feel even more the spooky, alien-esque kind of thing that I had seen in the commercials. And so, listen, I'm not telling you to go out and spend all your money and buy the highest rig that you can get. What I am saying is that they do put... What I am saying is that sometimes there are things that they have spent time, energy, development, tech to build to make this game be a visual experience. And so little things like this, optimization to particle rendering to make your computer run better, run smoother, so that you can see these things and not get hitching or any type of weird stuff desyncing is always great to me. And even though it doesn't get a lot of attention when these things go out, I appreciate anything they do to make this game more visually stunning, but also a better game experience and a better environment for us when we play it. Anything you want to say?
No, it's just that you're right to take your time with this, because it's easy to say this sentence, right? Mm-hmm. General particle rendering optimization. But what it means for us is that when you go into a storm, if your computer can do it, you're going to see an intensity of stormishness, right? When you walk around, you're going to see different pockets of stuff coming out of grates and radiators, and you're going to see these little moments of rendering that, and we haven't even gotten ray tracing yet, right? We got a unified lighting approach, but we haven't gotten ray tracing yet. The mesh shaders are still being worked on. The Vulkan API and shader tweaks are still happening. So the fact that they're leaning in here is just going to continue to give us this overall experience. For anybody that's seen like Cyberpunk maxed out, right? That's what CIG is going for, right? But at scale, right? So you'll get it not only in CIG's Night City, which is Area 18, but you'll get it over at Pyro. You'll get it in Nyx. You'll get it in Castor. You'll get it in Terra, right? So this is just the next step on that journey, and I'm glad that we stopped and really talked about it, because these are the small moments that are the thrasos, the guts, that make up the actual experience, right? We run by it really fast, but if it wasn't there, we would notice, right? And it would devalue some of the quality of the experience.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, as a part of a new entry that no one was expecting, that kind of came out of nowhere, the experimental VR support. Yeah, Serious, let's talk about it.
And the last shall be first. Experimental VR support. Sylvan from CIG has been one of the lead developers who's been working on this, and he said, we're excited to introduce something a little different with Alpha 4.5. Early experimental VR support. And they underlined and bolded that so that people would hear and understand this is an experimental feature. It may come and go, right? But they're trying it out. As part of our commitment to innovation, we have always encouraged our developers to stay current and explore ideas that could open up new possibilities for Star Citizen. This VR implementation grew out of that exploration mindset, and a small group of passionate engineers took the initiative to experiment with VR on their own. And we are now ready to share the first steps of that work with you. Now, what's interesting about this is if folks go back and watch Quantum Vegas on YouTube, Sean Tracy kind of hinted at this, right? When he took the time to come out to our convention and dialogue with the community, kind of hinted that, you know, we're looking at it, right? Got to find the time, right? And Sylvan and others found the time, and we've gotten our first implementation of this. Now, for me, this is the reason I'm glad I got to read this one is because, you know, I go back to the Viewmaster. Y'all remember the Viewmaster?
Yeah. No, they don't remember.
Folks,
they don't know nothing about the Viewmaster.
Some of these younger folks. There was a device in the 70s. You could take your photos and say, give me a Viewmaster disc of my photos. And they give you this white disc with your photos in there and slots, almost like a slide projector, right? And you'd put the disc in the Viewmaster and hold it up to your eyes. And you'd hit the button and go through each of the images. And because of the way it was put in there, you'd get a stereographic representation, a 3D representation of those photographs on film, right? And the Viewmaster really goes back to the 30s, but it was popular for us, and that was my first VR, right? The next VR after that, I didn't get until Google Cardboard. And my wife almost fell over looking at images. She used to live in France, and she was looking at images in France on the Google Cardboard, and it was making her sick, right? Then I got the first Oculus, got the Rift S, right? Got the HP Reverb Generation 2, right? So, and what's crazy is that I'm in a moment right now after all that where I don't have a VR headset, so it's killing me, right? But, you know, for a long time, I felt like Elite Dangerous was the sit-down reference VR experience to show other people. And from watching the excitement over the past week with folks that are really engaged and have been engaged with VR, it's become clear that Star Citizen is likely going to become that reference VR experience, right? Its first implementation seems to have a lot of bumps, a lot of bugs, a lot of things that can be improved. And yet everybody that's doing it has a smile on their face.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that's doing it is amazed, right? They're fully realizing the massive scale of some of these things, and then just the interesting scale of other things. You know, those triangle lights in Lorville as you come up out of your hangar and into the spaceport. People are looking at that and just stopping and staring at that. You know, they're stopping and staring at the rental kiosk because of the things that they're seeing. All the detail that some of us have been looking at, but a lot of us have not. Right? People are now really seeing that detail in a way that is next level transformative, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, we are, and I want to let our community know, we plan on talking about this more in the new year extensively. We're hoping to have folks like Chachi Sanchez on with us to dialogue about VR and to go in depth about it. And so, you know, make sure that you subscribe to us and hang out with us and check us out in the new year. We're going to be talking more during the holiday season about what the new year will look like. But this is one of our intentions, is to have an in-depth conversation exclusively about VR. But I was just super excited for folks that have been waiting for so long, right? For a native implementation of VR to now have gotten it, and for it to be as fun as it seems to be. I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah. I remember when there were citizens backers who were working it out to do VR in Arena Commander, and how excited they were. I remember all the complicated work to make it happen too for folk. And now we're at this place now where people are sharing. I know you and CC, people have been sharing information on how to, this is the way to do it. There are already people who got some videos out there to tell you, here's the quick way to get a setup going. There's a lot of excitement about VR. It was kind of funny because for Black Friday, I had planned on upgrading from the Meta 2 to a Meta 3. And I decided to wait. I said, wait, it's not, the S is on sale, but I want the other one. And of course I didn't get it. And then all of a sudden this came out. I'm like, oh shoot, you know, I should have stuck with my first thought. So now I'm hoping that I'm going to hint to my family to get me a Meta 3 for Christmas, and maybe I'll get it that way. But it's interesting. I've watched several content creators with this, and Ali was one of the first people that I saw. Was in the car just listening to him, and he was just ranting and raving about how much he was enjoying it. But there were other people that I was listening to. I watched Leaf Effects today, and he was talking about when he went out to oh God, what's the place called? What's the place in Microtech where the reclaimer is downed at? Where that mission was, where you had to go up in the broken reclaimer and hit the machines. What's that place called, you guys? What's the name of that place? Anyway, he was out there. Ghost Hollow. Thank you. And there was a carrack that was downed out there, and he was talking about the scale. Everybody's talking about the scale that they're seeing now, what the true scale is of these ships and locations, that even though we thought the scale was, you know, amazing before, they're saying, no, here's the exponential, you know, let me put this squared, or, you know, whatever, to what we're seeing now. And it's almost like, remember when Elite Dangerous made it where you could get out of the ships and walk around? And people started realizing how big the ships were, you know, because just being in the cockpit, you couldn't tell. But when they got out and said, oh my God, the ship is gigantic. That's how people are seeing things in the game. I think even when I was watching Ali, he said when he went to the ASOP terminal, he could see that there was a glass over it that was beveled. So there's all these details that CIG has talked about, whether on ISC or SCL or listening to Chris Roberts or whoever, where they've talked about this level of immersion in detail. And again, this goes back to my story about the particle thing. We don't see it. We don't see what they're actually working on. That level of detail for why the time is there, the investment is there, the hard work that's going on in there, and the preparation to give us a game that at some point when we access it, we will, not just a small few, but there will be plenty of people who will be able to appreciate all this hard labor that has gone into the game. And I think it's so easy for us to take how games are made normally and think that, well, CIG is just doing the same thing, when they are trying to innovate. They are trying to bring something a little bit different. Yeah, so I didn't want to say the F word, right? but the fidelity, right? The immersion that they want to be able to bring for us as players. So it's great. You know, I'm excited. I know, Sachi, I know you have been the voice crying in the wilderness for a long time. So I know that you're very excited, and we are excited. So I know that Sirius had already told me that we're going to try to work having you onto the show. So we're going to be looking forward to seeing you out here. Yeah, you've been the lone torchbearer out there for quite a while, but it's great though, right? And the fact that you've been out there keeping that torch going for many people, even people who didn't have access, people have been watching and also looking forward to. And here's the other thing too, real quick, Sirius. For so long, VR has been almost, to a certain degree, still considered a novelty. You know, it's for some people who are really into it, it's taken seriously. But in general, it still hasn't hit that mark where people feel like it's okay, now it's there. It doesn't help that almost every year something new comes out. You know what I mean? There's a new one, and it takes an investment of money to jump into it. But I think we're starting to get there now. CIG's got a long way to go, gang. Shout out to Sylvan and the team there. Sylvan was doing this on his own, free time on weekends over the past year working on this. This has been that's what this thing is talking about. It was a passion project that he was taking on because he knew that the community wanted something like this. And we have to give, this is not the first time where people who work at CIG have on their own taken on something and worked on it, and then we got the benefit from it. So special shout out to him, anyone else that worked with him to help bring this to the community. Early stages, y'all, but as you said, people are smiling and excited and ecstatic about what they're seeing so far with VR. Okay. Anything else, buddy?
I just want people to be emotionally ready if the feature comes and goes. I know nobody wants to hear that. People like, it's here, it better stay. There's no reason for them to stop it now.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't want it to go away either. Right? And they emphasize experimental for a reason. So just be ready if they've got to bring it back and forth, almost like an EPTU, right? Or a tech preview, right? And Chachi Sanchez says, I can say from Sylvan, VR isn't leaving its in for the live build. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. I think there's a lot of excitement about it. It'd be nice if it was a feature that stayed in and just got iteratively evolved. They said experimental for a reason, so be ready for changes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But that doesn't diminish the excitement. Super excited about it.
Exactly. Okay. Well, we have hit all of the marks here. These are some of the things. I don't know if CIG is going to drop anything else into the patch because this was not something that had been on the list. You know, sometimes they say this is ready for testing, this is not ready for testing. And experimental VR wasn't even on the list. So the fact that they've added something else to it, maybe something else will get added, but we know that we're getting pretty close. You all know that the holiday is coming up. CIG goes on their winter break for about 3.5 weeks. And so it'll be interesting to see whether or not we stick with 4.4 in the live and 4.5 stays in PTU, which a lot of people like because it gives folks options of what they want to do. Or whether 4.5 goes live and maybe something else comes into PTU or experimental, whatever. A lot of times we don't like that necessarily because if it's not completely ready, then we have to go through the holidays. CIG often does leave a crew of people to work on if there's some really big problems during the holiday. But we'll see where those dice fall when it's all said and done. But for now,
seeing how excited our Soul Team member GoMob ATL is about this, where he's telling us he ain't never taken his glasses off.
Yeah.
I just want to say that Merry Christmas. This is CIG saying Merry Christmas.
Yeah. But
enjoy your holiday season.
Here's a point,
Have
though.
lots of fun with it.
Here's a point. Do you remember that's the way we felt about Elite? Once you went into VR, it was hard to go back.
Yes.
To regular play. It was extremely
And then they ruined
difficult.
that on their own with Odyssey. They didn't like my mom would say, it's my mom's birthday, so I'm gonna quote my mom. My mom would say, but having the perfect VR, that was too much like right.
Too much
so
like
they
right.
didn't want nothing like that.
Yeah, but it was something to go into Elite. Once you saw Elite in VR, it changed your whole perspective of the game. Yeah. It was very difficult to just go back to a flat screen. And to go Mob's point, there are people who feel like once they've seen this, it just takes it up to a different level. So for those of you who get the opportunity to take a look at it, you can test it out, you can try it out. And if not, if you can't do it right now, the good news is that they're going to continue to work on it. VR is going to continue to become even more accessible monetarily. And eventually, if you decide to take that step, I just bought a freaking brand new 45-inch monitor. I don't even want to think about having to buy. I'm like, I got this nice, beautiful wide screen now, and now I got to think about, but we'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know if I buy a VR.
The last thing I'll say is that there have been some prolific content creators who have said things like, I don't really see an MMO. VR is not for an MMO.
Mm.
And I couldn't disagree more.
Mm.
Right? If there's any experience, any sim that can ensure that the opportunity for virtual reality and the importance that we have in terms of how we connect with others in an MMO setting can be unified, it's Star Citizen.
Mm.
Right? And so I look forward to the development of this feature.
Okay. Well, we can close out with that. Those are some good words. Very, very good words. Listen, let's talk about what we've got coming up this next week as we're approaching the holiday. Each year.
Best show of the year.
Each year. Oh, we have a Q&A. Thank you, Fast Cart. See, that's why we have a great mods out there to remind us of things. Let me bring...
I was all VR excited.
I know. We do have questions here. Okay, we've got a question from Fast Cart. What game... Oh, God. Why you change the channel on us? What games interested you from the Games Awards this year?
Well, Fast Cart reminded me that Chris Roberts and Mark Hamill were on the Game Awards like in 2013.
Right.
Or 2015, or whenever it was, right before the first attempted cut at Squadron 42. And so we're probably not going to be back on the Game Awards until it's out, right? But I think I was more... I went in a fan on behalf of Togi because I value Togi's opinion of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and it didn't win anything. I was disappointed at that.
Mm.
And I would think I was more paying more attention to what wasn't shown. There wasn't anything shown from GTA. There wasn't anything shown from Elder Scrolls 6. And there wasn't anything shown, of course, from Squadron 42. So I was more focused on that than I was on the stuff that was shown.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I took away from the Game Awards this year. How about you?
I'm only halfway through it, and I saw the promo for a couple of things.
Exodus 2, by the way. I like that.
Yeah, Exodus 2. I had a couple of people DMing me, Griff, did you see this? Did you see the Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic thing? And I got a chance to see that because that was early in the thing. As big of a Star Wars fan as I am, when it comes to their games, I'm always, at this point, I'm like, let's just see what happens. I can't get excited. Right. One of the reasons why I can't get excited, don't get me wrong, visually it was beautiful, but like the Old Republic games all had beautiful cinematic stories that opened them, but visually they were like, okay. So there was no, this is in engine or anything with that trailer. And so it looked cool, but it's like, yeah, okay, I see good cinematics all the time. I'm curious as to where they're going to go with it. I know the director who's doing it was the same person who did the original, plus did the Mass Effect stories and stuff. So there's some promise there, but at the same time, it was just a teaser, So I got to get through the rest of the awards.
AC Hudson did go onto Twitter and say, I'm getting old too, so you're not going to have to wait till 2030 for this game. It'll come sooner than that. That was good.
That's a good response. Okay, we have one more question. This is from Admiral Kusanagi. He says, regarding ships stopping when disabled, wouldn't you feel moving away from a battle area would be better? Or would you rather a rescue ship trying to pick you up with death all around you? A rescue beacon is a rescue beacon, and that works both ways. Yeah, I think that there's a pro and con to both sides of that, Admiral. Let me tell you what the negative side of it is. And this is kind of the conversation we've held on here before about talking about true simulation and then game simulation, and then when stuff is just totally gamified. If this was true simulation, And if you lost power or got damaged with a certain level of inertia where you're moving very fast, you would continue to move that way, right? You would continue moving through space at whatever that speed is, because there's no quote unquote friction, and there's nothing to stop you. And so if you're moving at, I'm just picking a random number, 300 meters a second, 800 meters a second, how do you get rescued at that point, right? How does someone stop your ship to help you? Or if you need to bail out, and your ship's just going to continue going, I think there would be problems with the simulation being to that degree. And then again, if we gamify it too much, where, your ship just comes to a dead halt, there's a problem. I don't know. That may be one of those things that gets solved by us doing it and seeing what happens. I do like, there's some things that could be done, right? When we go out salvaging, one of the reasons why they give our salvagers, they give us tractor beams, right? So maybe what has to happen is you catch up with that ship in a tractor beam with the ship that slows it down. Maybe that's the way to fix it. But until it happens, we're going to have to figure out something, right? And see how it goes. But right now, if we made it truly the way things work in space, it would be very difficult for you to be able to access that ship or get to it. It just would be a real problem. And that's going to be the same thing when they do ejection pods. How far will they eject out of a ship? Will they go out 2 kilometers, 8 kilometers? Will they only go out 500 meters? All that stuff with inertia and things being ejected out in space or moving through space are going to be things that we're going to have to find out answers to. You got anything serious on that, you think?
No, I mean, it's a recurring theme in sci-fi of the ships left over from a battle or a ship graveyard. Mm-hmm. It's such a recurring theme that it's almost a trope, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would not be against that, because I think it gives the opportunity for gameplay, right? To come back and salvage.
For salvage, yeah.
All that other stuff. So I'm comfortable with it. I get Admiral's question, and maybe there are some times where the way your ship is damaged takes it further away from the battle. But I to this point, I've appreciated most of CIG's choices around physics and fun. Right? And the balance that they've struck. So.
Yeah. And maybe the balance would be, to Admiral's point, that there is a certain level of inertia that's maintained for 30 seconds or a minute or 2 minutes, and then eventually the ship comes to a stop, right? And that way you do get a little bit of what he's saying, where the ship moves a little bit out of the area of conflict, but at the same time doesn't just continue on at some ridiculous amount of speed. That could be it. And even as a player, if you know that I got about 2 minutes of this ship drifting before it's going to finally come to a stop. I think it's, Admiral, throw the suggestion in there. Let's find the happy medium that works both for game, but also has some level of realism. I think your point is a good point to mention. Okay. All right. Next week, as we were kicking off here, Fast Cart reminded us, though, is our Holiday Wishes show. We do this show every year at the end of the year. It's our end of the year show, where we just kind of come together, do a quick overview of the year, talk about what we liked, didn't like, but then we also talk about what it is we would like to see in that upcoming year. And so hopefully you guys will be able to join us. We'll have some of the members from the Soul team at the end of the year. We have folks come on, folks maybe you haven't seen in a little bit, come on and share their thoughts about the year that's coming up for 2026. And that'll be next Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Now, there's a little surprise here, because you guys are here. Because you all are here, next week we're doing a very, very special giveaway. And we wrestled a little bit about how do we want to do this giveaway, and partially because there's a part of me that when we do giveaways, and I know that as far as content creators go, we can say giveaways on our title as a way to draw more people to come and watch content, and we've done that before. But in this particular case, I've really been wanting certain giveaways that we do to go to you, to our current community, our people who are here every week, faithfully supporting us, faithfully listening to us, sharing in our chat, part of our Discord. And so this particular giveaway, we're not saying anything about next week. So you're here to hear about it. So we want to encourage you to be here next week. Now you might be saying, Griff, serious, what is it that's that important that you guys would tell us that? Well, what I will tell you is this. If you want to get a hint to what that giveaway is, and it's being donated by one of our team members, I won't say who because that might give away too much, but it is being donated by one of our team members. And I will tell you that if you look at the promo that you see on the screen right now, And if you look at the promo that we put out in our social media this week, there is a difference between those promos. And all I'm going to say is if you see what the differences are, you might figure out what we're giving away next week. So that'll be next Sunday. So make sure you're here. Make sure you're here for that, because I think you'll be happy. Let's just say that. Let's talk about, that's next week. Let's see who we're going to raid. We are going to raid, according to Fastcart, we are raiding Space Girl Spiff. She is a fairly new content creator. Actually, I saw a video of hers out not too long ago. And it was interesting, but she is new, and she had a lot of folks in the community trying to help her kind of know how to play the game, which was really funny. But she did a good job when I was watching her. Let's see, that's Space Girl _Spiff. Is that right? SPIFF. Is she still on Fastcart? I see no channels found under that. Are you sure she's on? Space Girl Spiff. Can you? I don't know what he said to me. He's trying to DM me when I'm doing something here. No, that's not what he's hitting me with. I don't know. Okay, that's not it. Hang on one second, gang. Is she on Fastcart? I'm assuming she is. Let's see. Is she on? She's not on right now. Yeah, she went off. So you got to get me somebody else, please. Or I can just look. Let me see. I guess she was on.
Wicked Wookie is on too.
Wicked Wookie. I want to get somebody that we haven't done. I want somebody with who doesn't have big numbers. New
Eva
face.
Moonley.
We can send some love out there. Eva Moonley. I see Verity. Eva Moonley. Eva. How come I don't have Eva Moonley? Can you spell it for me?
EVA. Mm-hmm. Capital MOON.
I see her. Eva Moonley.
Lee.
Got it. Okay. We are going to send you all over to Eva Moonley. This is somebody we've never rated before. She only has 28 people watching her. She's been on for 1 hour. Give some love over there when you get over there. Let her know that you came over from the Soul Citizens, as always. And hopefully you'll like her. Follow her if you like what you see. My good friend, SeriousFun, thank you, my friend, helping me carry the load today. You know, I had a long day. I appreciate you as always. And
it's the most wonderful time of the year. And part of that is doing this with you. Looking forward to next week.
Awesome. We appreciate you all too. Please stay safe. Take care of yourselves. There's some funky weather coming through North America, so you guys stay safe, stay warm, because it was cold here today. And hopefully we'll see you guys on next Sunday. Until then, stay safe. We love you. Peace, love, soul. Have a good one. Take care.